So I wanted an opportunity to just explain a little bit of sort of what the whole hubbub has been for the last few weeks. So usually about when we come to county committee 2 years ago, about 30 seconds before we come here, we find out who the officers are for the party and we make a vote on them. And I think we've all heard borough presidents talk about how where Brooklyn goes, the nation goes, and I think if you look at that, generally, I think there's a lot that can be done here in Brooklyn in terms of transparency and accountability and openness in terms of how our party operates. And I think that... And there's a lot of places that we can address that, and we've already started to have that conversation, but I think one also is in terms of the process and the operation of the party. So with a group of organizations, we came together and decided that maybe everything that happens at this meeting isn't predetermined. And we wanted to actually run people for open positions because anyone can run for these positions. So when we came to that decision, we went to the party, and explained to them our idea, and then asked them who are the officers of the party. At the moment, they were able to name a few, but not everyone on who the officers of the party. And because it's not on the website, it's not publicly known, we had to foil it to get the full list. So when we went to start talking to some of these people who were on this list, there were some people, district leaders, who didn't know that they were officers of the party. So we consider this maybe a bit of a problem. So when we went at this moment and also explained the bylaws, because there's a lot of debate of sort of what the bylaws are these voting members of the executive committee or not, what's going on here. Originally the conversation was, these are the wrong bylaws. The bylaws have been on the website for a long time. And then some time went by and it was like, well, these are actually the bylaws, but they're not the right bylaws because we voted for other ones, but that didn't actually happen. So we had to go and we had to talk to every district leader up until this week. We were figuring out what's the full history of what happened and why this is the case. And there were Facebook messages going on into infinity to make sense of what happened. And generally, something was not done in terms of changing the bylaws, but that wasn't the intent. And the problem is that we realized there aren't minutes for these meetings. At least there weren't minutes for these meetings that happened originally when they wanted to change the bylaws because it was important to not have the original system, which was used in order to try and control votes within the executive committee. So I think that's kind of a circular problem because the officers, the secretary has a very important role, the treasurer has a very important role, the financials have not been on the website entirety when the website came up. These are important process questions and that leads to how our party operates. So if we wanted to not have that problem exist, we should probably look at this process and how we pick our officers. So this is what was driving the original idea. And then we, after this conversation, we were told about, obviously, the original intent and the fact that there was a large reform effort that a lot of people in this room were a part of to try and make sure that these members of the county committee leadership weren't having voting rights within the executive committee. It came from county. They were going to make this change and fix the bylaws as soon as they possibly could. And we agreed with that, and we believe that that's the right thing to do. And also that if any people on our slate were going to be put on to executive committee, that they would also recuse their vote on executive committee until the rules change to be accurate of what this long effort was done in order to make sure that we had a more fair county structure. So that was the decision. But I think the overarching thought about this is that we need to have better operations of the party. We need to know what's going on, and we need to have people caring about who the officers are and being present in this space. And I think a lot of people talk about how good the process was. Was it perfect? Of course it wasn't perfect. I will never say that it was perfect. And there's a lot of beliefs in terms of what this is really about, and this is the message that we've been trying to put forward since the beginning. So this is where this whole back and forth came, but we encourage people to consider that we have a chance to think about how we operate as a party, and I think that's important, and I think that's a good thing, and democracy isn't bad, and elections aren't always the wrong thing to have. So.